Hi guys. I'm actually the lead producer. It's well, interesting anecdote about that. My whole dev team gives me a bunch of crap because every time we do one of these interviews, I get called something different. So we've got like lead designer, lead developer, which isn't even a title. But like, I just do this stuff. What are you gonna do? Sure. Yeah. The stinkiest cheese.
All right, I don't know what just happened here, but it's yeah.
A lot is going on. I mean, we're West Coast, so it's 6 o'clock, and we have tons of people still hanging out, doing tons of work. There, it's Yeah. I mean, it's been nonstop since a couple weeks before Beta Weekend 1, um, and just straight through till now. Obviously, just we do a lot of data mining um, after every alpha and beta playtest, and so it's hard to say like what's been changing because there's literally so much. Going through and looking at economy numbers and seeing how quickly people are leveling, where they're dying, how many health potions they're using, all this sort of stuff. Like actually getting to see what we wrote down in all these various spreadsheets totally isn't true, and going back and changing them. So it's a lot of fun.
I can hear you just fine. Some of the chat people have had to refresh and they've been able to hear you.
So
Now I can't hear you, Bill.
we have lost Bill. Oh, I got you now.
I can hear you now. They say they. Yeah, I can hear you. They're gonna have a delay, so they're gonna have like a 10-second delay into 30 seconds. So okay.
So guys, come here off.
Yeah, we try.
Sure, and I guess I'll restate the question. Yeah. Well, so you asked what do I do? Um, I'm responsible for mostly just organizationally how our dev team will make this game on time, on budget, and on coolness, if I can use that word or dub a word. So we have our designers, our artists, our engineers, and I have to like figure out like, okay, we're going to be doing this sort of content, and we're going to make that done by whatever date it is. And I have my team of producers that help me break that down into more granular tasks. And then I also have the fun job of interfacing with kind people like you, and doing chatty things. uh, the super super broken down version of what I do. Yeah. Yeah. We're getting very, very close to launch, absolutely. So I'm carefully dodging this, so we're not gonna. um, we might decide to do a fourth depending on how things go, but certainly we're getting down to the end of it.
Hey, Bill. Chat room can hear me and they can hear Andy, but they can't hear you. So yeah, so I'm gonna start throwing Andy the questions from here. How's that sound? Okay. All right. So what can we look forward to that's different in this beta weekend that we didn't have last beta weekend a month ago? Maybe Control Wizard?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're releasing another class, the Control Wizard, and if you had come out to some of the other shows over the summer, you might have got your hands on him for about 15 minutes or so doing our show floor demos. But this will be the first time that class gets released to beta weekend. It's personally the one that I don't play the most. So when I was playing it to get ready for beta weekend 2, it blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, this guy is awesome.
Yeah.
So we should be really excited about that. There's 10 more levels, so we had capped it at level 30 for beta weekend 1, so you'll be able to get to level 40, and then also release 2 new adventure zones as well.
Okay. Which adventure zones are that?
Jeez, it is.
Okay.
Let's make
I'm
sure.
not trying to play stump you.
Yeah. Let me go. I didn't check my brief.
Okay. Hey guys, we're gonna stop the stream for a second real quick, and then we're gonna bring it back up, and we're gonna see if that fixes Bill's sound, and if not, we'll continue the interview, and I'll just throw the questions out there. And Bill, just sit there.
And we're back, and you can hear me again. You're so lucky.
Suggest a merger. Go on. We make.
And somebody else can hear advertisements. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So we're back. Rob, take it from here. I need to compose myself.
Okay.
Let me actually finish answering.
Yeah, the next zones, the new zones.
That's great.
Totally spaced. It's been a long week, guys.
We understand.
So yeah, Ebon Downs and Helmshold are the next 2 that are coming out now. And the cool thing about Helmshold is that has our first dragon in it in terms of the progression. So if you actually advance your character up high enough, you'll be able to fight a dragon.
I actually got to see a dragon though last beta weekend.
Yeah?
Last beta weekend? Oh, you did?
After the gelatinous cube absorbed me, the doors opened and I saw a glimpse of a dragon and he took off.
Oh, sure.
So there would be dragons. But, okay, so to follow up with that, we did talk about the Control Wizard. You had it at shows. It's been taken off the FAQ as actually a release class. Have you guys nailed down what classes and races that are going to be available at launch?
Yeah. So we're doing some house cleaning right now on the website just to make sure that, just getting all of our ducks in a row, make sure that the information that we have up there is correct. The 5 that we've announced up to this point are still our launch 5. It's not like the Control Wizard is not going to happen anymore. So Control Wizard, Guardian Fighter, Great Weapon Fighter, Devoted Cleric, and Trickster Rogue are still the launch 5 classes.
Okay. I was worried because the Control Wizard is the one I would really want to play the most after watching you run around at PAX with him, like firing balls of light.
Yeah,
and everything.
certainly there's a large number of people who have mentioned the same thing.
Okay. This is kind of a little bit about the Control Wizard still, but it applies to all of them. Why did you guys end up changing the way combat flowed? It used to be that you could actually move and cast spells, but now anytime you're doing any actions, your feet root in place.
Yeah, it's one of the things that certainly has been controversial in terms of our alpha feedback, and we're still playing around with it. But specifically, I know one of the things that bothered players when we made the change was with the Control Wizard's Magic Missile. We found when we started unlocking PvP to our alpha users, you could just kite people indefinitely. And,
What's wrong with that?
While fun for the Control Wizards, it's certainly something that we had to look into. So it's currently one of the things that we've tried, and we'll see how. This is what beta weekends are for, right? So we put in a quick change. We're gathering feedback on it and looking at data now. And so if the world explodes because of this change, then maybe we'll look at another solution for it.
Well, I'll tell you, as a Guardian Warrior, I really love it because you're rooted in place, and so are they. And I just take my shield and I slam it in your face, and you're posed.
Yeah.
That's It's great that you mentioned the PvP though, because that was like our next question. Can you talk about the PvP, the system itself, as like a nice general overview of how it's framed in Neverwinter, and then maybe even a little bit more about Gauntlgrim?
Sure. Yeah. PvP. We have just for just the sort of benchmark, basic sort of PvP. There's a few arenas that we have, and think about them like domination. And so you'll be able to queue for these. They'll be in level bands for about 10 levels or so. So you'll queue up and just get thrown on a team of 5, or you can team up with your buddies and go from there, and PvP to your heart's content. It's really, really fun, and we'll be releasing it not for Beta Weekend 2, but most likely for Beta Weekend 3. And then people will be able to get their hands on it, and they don't have to just listen to me talk about that it is fun.
That was
For those that asked what Gauntlegrim is, here's a book.
Yeah.
Go read it. I'll tell you all about it.
Gauntlegrim is a so there are no spoilers for people that are going to go read the book. Huge dwarven sort of city, ancient city that Driz runs around in, and then you also get to explore as one of the zones in our game. And then that zone for us is a combination of competitive PvE plus some PvP mixed into it as well. So beyond just the normal PvP queues that you can go into, as you get to higher level, you'll be able to go into Gauntlegrim and compete there as well.
Can you talk about one of the reasons players would PvP though? I mean, obviously we all want rewards. When you're playing the PvE, you're getting the loot, you're getting the experience, the levels. What's sort of like the reward system behind PvP, if there is one?
Yeah, well, certainly we realized that some people just like PvP, and so we didn't want them to not have anything to aspire to. So every time you PvP, you gain currency, which is glory, and so you can use that to purchase gear, and that will be like the best gear for PvP specs. And you can also advance and you'll randomly get greens as you complete matches that are appropriate for your level as well. So if you want to just sort of do hybrid PvE exploration as well as some PvP, you can stay sort of on par with your gear drops based on just PvP.
Oh, okay. So when you say that it would be gear that's like specific that works for like PvP, is there some sort of stat that's like a PvP stat that's only going to be on PvP gear? How do you keep the two separate so that PvE players aren't, feeling, I don't know, outdone by people that are PvP players?
Yeah, it's actually one of the things that the super specifics of that. I'm sure we're going to have like a dev blog real soon about all the PvP stuff, so I don't want to spoil everything on that right now. But
oh, please.
But you're exactly right. Like there's a fine balance there between we need to make something that is unique for the PvP crowd, that makes them feel special and want to aspire to get something via PvP. But it also needs to not be something that just jabs people who don't necessarily like PvP in the eyes so much. So figuring it out with combinations of stats or what have you, like we're trying to find a nice middle ground for something like that.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good overview of the PvP system. I think. You have any more questions regarding that, Greg, before we get to the other ones?
No, I really want to get into the Foundry.
Go for it.
Okay, so we had Open Beta Weekend 1, and we didn't have access to the Foundry. We're having Open Beta Weekend 2 this weekend. Will we have access to the Foundry? And if not, when can we expect the Foundry beta to start? And will that be more than just weekends and allow us to actually get in there and really spend some time working with the Foundry and building missions for possibly having ready to release?
Absolutely. So to respond, because I guess there was a lot of questions in there. That last point is something that we're kind of rolling out right now. I don't think we've actually gone public with it yet, but very, very soon we'll start taking Foundry-specific beta submissions. And so that's where we'll be sending out keys, and that will be much, much more extended access than the beta weekends. Nice. And like you sort of suggested, there will be it'll be dual part for us to get feedback on the tools, but also there'll be competitions so that you can be, maybe the first featured mission that we have when we launch or something like that. So certainly that will be starting very, very soon.
Very cool. And when it comes to, I know I'm trying to piggyback on you, Rob. How, like, in terms of robustness, for people that are familiar with STOs, the Star Trek Online's Foundry system, is this comparable, or would you say that it's like bigger and better and meaner?
In terms of the overall Foundry?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so what we put out in Star Trek Online is what we've we called like the beta version. We had baseline functionality there, and we put it out, and we wanted to see how the tool worked in sort of that environment where we have thousands and thousands of players using it, and we wanted to see certain things like our peer review system. Is that actually going to work? I mean, it was a really cool idea, but will that work in a live environment? And certainly we've found that it has. And so a lot of cool information going on from there. And so we've taken that tool as its base and have been working on it for a year and a half plus now, and making what it can be to Neverwinter. So certainly I would say it is the same underlying tech as what's in Star Trek, but it has undergone a lot of improvements.
Great. Rob, go ahead.
So, shifting away from the Foundry, everybody's always concerned about the business models of these games. Like, we don't want subs. Subs are dead. Oh, free to play. Free to play has invisible barriers and restrictions.
Yeah,
you guys have come out and said everything that you can buy, you're going to be able to earn through game, from Astral Diamonds and converting those to Zen. My question is, for those of us that are willing to spend money and Zen and buy things, when are we going to find out what stuff costs?
There should be actually some things in beta weekend too in the C-store, so you can start gauging that now.
Now, will those be final, or will those still be like subject to change?
Certainly, I wouldn't say anything is final at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we have these events, right? Both alpha and beta are for us to get feedback, gauge the player response, and then react accordingly.
Rob, can I interject real quick before you go to the next one?
Sure.
Real quick question. I think I know the answer, but there are people asking if there are going to be raids for larger than 5-person groups, or is it all 5-person group content?
The vast majority is 5-person group content. In Gauntlet Grim, which again we haven't gone into too many details, in some of that competitive PvE section, there are multiple areas where multiple groups of 5 are competing or are cooperating to do things, but your group will stay a 5-man team or woman team.
Okay, so it's like multiple groups, just you have the 5-person teams, which after playing it the past beta weekend, it seems like a good idea, just because the companion system. I feel like you throw in companions, you throw in 10 people, and it's going to get crazy regardless of trying to keep track of your partner, your team, and your everybody.
Yeah, and certainly that was an influencing factor. Another was just the speed with which we are doing things. It's hard to find the 38th person in your 40-man raid to do a specific thing to, and also with the lack of a mouse. I was a healer in WoW raids back in vanilla, and I don't know how I would heal without my custom UI with where I could click on specifically XYZ person.
I tried it with the cleric. Thank God for those AoE heals, man. Without them, I'd be like dead. Everybody would be dead.
Certainly that is a conscious design decision on our part, right? We took away this sort of play the HUD mechanic, and so we had to find other ways to develop powers that allow you to heal without having to click on a portrait or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Rob. Go ahead. I know you got more questions.
Actually, that was the conclusion of our questions, but you're willing to take any from the chat room? Because we've got quite a few flowing through.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so Titan wants to know, are we going to see any kind of tie-in with the game to social media these days? I mean, tie your character achievements into Twitter or something, blast it out there with a hashtag, and people are like, oh, what's going on with this game?
Yeah, actually, one of the things that we're developing right now is sort of a Facebook Connect system, which will, you've seen it probably for other games where you go here and do this once a day, it spans all your friends, and then you get some sort of in-game reward for it. The other thing that we're, similar to like the Foundry we put out in Star Trek as a beta program and are sort of improving and making more robust for the Neverwinter launch, is the gateway system, which you can interact with the game via websites, and so you could you could send maybe a link to your friend and say, hey, check out my character, and it has your character sheet with all your gear. You can browse the auction house or do your mails, that sort of thing. Not online.
What about, have you guys looked at anything like, well, we're using Twitch right now to broadcast. Have you looked at Twitch integration for Neverwinter? Is that something that's feasible?
Yeah, we talked about a whole bunch of those things. It's one of the things that or that category of oh man, really cool bleeding edge integration with this stuff is something we have and we put on the back burner to focus on making sure we have a really solid launch, a really solid launch game. I mean, even just looking at all the shenanigans going around with SimCity right now, we're happy that we have limited our focus to let's just make sure that when we come out, we have a really solid game that is polished and is well done. And the good thing about MMOs is that we live for as long as we have fans, and so those things will come online later. And when we do, we will do them right, as opposed to sort of hastily getting them in.
That's actually to add to that, like one of the things you have that a lot of other MMOs don't, and I thank God for it that you have it, is the built-in voice chat.
Yeah.
That's something that I think a lot of people are going to realize just how useful it is, even though you might not like everybody you play with. The fact that you can't take your hands off the keyboard and mouse to talk in the middle of a fight in Neverwinter, it makes it essential that you have chat.
Yeah.
So can you talk about? It was a little bit buggy in beta weekend 1. How is the system coming? Is it a little bit more stable now? And I guess who are you partnering with to do something like that too?
That was certainly a generous description of how it was.
A little buggy.
Just a little buggy / didn't work at all. No, it was actually a really great test for us because we found a huge number of issues with it, and most of them, I will naively say, have been fixed.
Nice.
And so beta weekend 2 should be much, much better. So we have partnered with a company called Vivox for it. And so if you're interested in looking them up, you could totally do it. And we should it'll be on again in beta weekend 2, and we will probably catch a whole slew of other issues to smash down from there.
Will you also have, like, is it just for parties, or will it be guild chat also?
To start, we'll have it with party. It's
Okay.
something that we could technically turn on for guilds, and we had it on for a little bit, but this is almost like the same answer that we just had for the Twitch streaming integration. It was one of the things that was kind of working, but was only okay. And so we're trying to take a stance like, we're free to play, so we already have this stigma of lower quality product. But we also know that as a free-to-play game, as an MMO, we have a much longer tail than other games. So there's nothing wrong with us turning this feature off until we can do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of the stance that we're taking.
Excellent.
Question. Since you kind of brought it up with
Yeah.
SimCity,
Yeah.
Neverwinter going to have always-on DRM?
Well, because you actually play through our server, you do have to authenticate every time.
That's like, people are actually they're like, how can you stand this game? And I'm like, I do MMOs for a living. This is nothing
Yeah.
new to me. I'm used to this. I'll be fine.
On a serious note, people are asking about the challenge of the game, and
Yeah.
I can understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Because you could have done the 5-man cloak tower with less than 5 people.
Absolutely.
And I know that it gets more difficult, but can you tell everybody out there how the game gets more difficult as it gets towards
Yeah.
the higher levels?
Actually, that was one of the things that is great about beta weekends, because we have all our spreadsheets, we have our QA groups, we have our design groups running through and playing these things. But then when you get thousands of people coming through on these beta weekends, you get just so much more data, and we had fears about it being a little bit easy, but we actually made the decision to go out a little bit easy intentionally, and just let people have fun and feel powerful and do these cool things. And we'll then see, how far do you have to ratchet it up or down after that. So it's one of the things, the major changes that we've got in for Beta Weekend 2 is a huge rebalance of player efficacy, critter damage, boss efficacy, huge passes on all of that to make it a more challenging experience. It's one of the things, too, that internally has made the game way more fun for us now, because all of those things that we loved about that action combat, they're back now by necessity. You have to think about your powers, you have to work as a team, and you have to actually get out of enemy attacks and that sort of stuff. So really excited about seeing what you guys feel about that. The one thing that I do want to make clear, though, is in general, we do expect the early levels of the game to be pretty easy. With a free-to-play game, we're going to have so many people that are willing to give our game a try because there's no barrier to entry other than a 3 gigabyte download or something like that. And so we have a pretty complex game, and we want to make sure that anyone who wants to try isn't just immediately obliterated because our hardcore players wanted a challenge. So certainly, you'll cruise through levels 1 through 10 or 15 or something like that, and then you'll start seeing the enemies hitting harder, starting to use different powers and that sort of thing.
Okay, now I have one last question that's going to be the teaser question before you go, because Andy has to leave at 9:30, everybody. Well, 6:30 his time. People want to know some hints about the unannounced races and classes. Can you tell us anything at all, or when we can look forward to hearing about them?
Well, real soon, by Beta Weekend 3, we'll have, I think I'm not a liar, I think we'll have all of our races and classes out live for everyone to play with. So, that's mere weeks away. And
well, if you have 5 classes for this beta weekend,
we have 4.
Have a new. Oh, okay.
The Great Weapon Fighter will be coming out in Beta Weekend 3.
Okay, gotcha.
People are dying for warlocks, bugbears, rangers. We want it all, and we want it now, Andy.
It's fun. I mean, warlocks. There's a lot of people that have already found out a lot of information about warlocks, apparently. But it's one of the things that we're working on. It's fun.
Good. It's good to hear. Now, I know you guys are all sad that Andy has to go. You can stick around after he leaves. We're going to be playing some Guild Wars 2 and talking about the rest of the news from the week that was in MMO gaming. Andy, I just want to thank you for taking some time out of your, I know, incredibly busy schedule to talk with us today. And everybody, stick around to the end of the show for your chance at winning one of 6 beta keys that will be chosen at random through the stream. Grab all those for you. But Andy, thanks for stopping by, and we'll be playing this weekend, man. We hope to see you on there.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me, and I look forward to seeing you guys on Beta Weekend 2. And the one thing that I implore you guys and anyone watching this stream, give us your feedback after hit up our forums or do anything. And the Beta Weekends are for us to get feedback, and so let us know what you feel about it.
And if they want to sign up, they go to playneverwinter.com.
Yeah, just go to playneverwinter.com. It'll redirect you to the the hard to remember URL. And if you want to follow me at the Squez on Twitter, I post random pictures of devs working and random stuff like that.
There you go. You hear that? Follow the Squez. That's at TheSquuez. That's Andy Velasquez. I wonder where you got that name. Probably like mine. Anyway, thanks, Andy. Go eat, go to meetings, go do all the things you need to do.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me again.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. We're gonna load up Guild Wars 2 and talk a little bit about the rest of the news. We're not gonna be able to play that well, so you can come join us on Fort Aspenwood if you would like to. However, so please join us. I'm gonna guest right now on Fort Aspenwood. Rob, you still got the thing booted up, right?
Actually, they put a fix in since we were on.
What, seriously? Oh, God. I wonder if it'll let me connect. It will.
Looks like
okay.
You're connected to me.
Well, I was still there. I was waiting for them to tell me to back out. Wow.
So everybody knows there is plans for the quote-unquote end game. I was hoping Andy'd give you away some slips there.
But no.
But no. But I can tell you the game gets substantially harder. So don't worry, they're not gonna be handing you everything, and you are gonna want to group for like higher level content, even when it's not instance content. It's just out in the world.
I've got to fix Grak's face because they when Andy left the phone call.
Fixing this.
When Andy left the phone call, it totally screwed you up. But the very first thing we're going to talk about from this week is actually Guild Wars 2. Go figure. There we go. Let's select a new region.
Zoom in on my shoulder.
No, I don't think so. But did it work? I don't know. It kind of worked. Hey, look, there's your head. So Guild Wars 2 this week, the write-up, they went ahead and announced pretty early. There's not much to talk about, to be perfectly honest. They announced that what is it? The third part of their Flame and Frost update is coming, and they are calling it. What are they calling it? The Raising, right? Oh, that's misproportioned. Your head is misproportioned this time. That's okay. That's my fault.
I'm all over the place.
There, you can be right there. You'll dance in the middle of that big purple box. So it's called The Raising, and really all it says is that a hybrid army erupts through fiery portals in the Shiver Peaks. A molten alliance between the Dredge and the Char Flame Legion has created a force powerful enough to massacre any who stand in their way. Yada yada yada. This is the living story. This is the next step. I know that Rob has gotten back into playing Guild Wars 2 a little bit. You've been playing the living story. What do you think of it so far?
It's interesting. I've given them credit for trying to find ways to work new questing systems into the game because, as most of you know, they replaced quest hubs with they just don't have anything equivalent to it. They have pseudo-dynamic events with the hearts, and they also have real dynamic events, which occur on recurring timers throughout the game. And then they had your main storyline, but throughout it, there really wasn't a way to grant players additional quests. And what they've kind of done is they've done it through your achievement tabs, more or less, and created the living story. If you will come to me on the map, we're going to be up here.
Where are we at? Send me
and I will. Oh, okay. If you come to where I'm at now, there is currently an invasion going on, and there's fire portals, which are forming a ring.
There we go.
And out of these fire portals are coming the Flame Legion, and they're also coming Mole Men, which they're the Dredge, I guess.
The Mole Men, I like that.
I like to call them the Mole Men. Okay, so we got the Dredge and the Mole Men. They're teaming up. We're finally figuring this out in the last part of the story update. That the Dredge and the Char are in cahoots. Now, there's a couple different tiers to kill these guys. You kill 75, I think, is the max, and blah blah blah. So, anyways,
I'll kill everything.
You want to come? These are little dynamic events like rifts that would open up in a game rift. Kill enough people, they close. You're a hero. You get the girl, guy, whatever floats your boat, and the Char go home unhappy because no one dates a loser.
No one dates a loser. Which is why I'm married.
Yeah.
No. So that's sort of the Guild Wars 2 living story. Like Rob said, it's been interesting.
If you haven't done so already, by the way, guys, I'm going to give you a spoiler. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Hey, the mug that you have to find for the dude in Lion's Arch who can't find his beer mug, it's right over here where I'm at.
Good, I haven't found it yet.
So hit the Alt key, which puts names above everything's head, and you will see that there's a snow-covered object, and pick it up, and that's his Stein, and you can turn it into him.
I haven't. The Alt key or the Control key?
Alt key.
I don't see Jack.
Not Alt. Should be a snow-covered object around here somewhere. Check over here by this copper ore, then.
Let's look. Let's look. We're finding things, people.
It's around here somewhere. And if not, I know where the toy soldier is. We can go find where that one is, too, while we're talking to people.
I still see nothing, but that's okay.
Then you can come back and look for it later. We're not going to waste our time.
No,
so
we're not. We're
going to run over here. Yeah, and we're going to go to Chargate Haven Waypoint. It's just to the immediate right of here. And I'll show you where the little boy lost his toy soldier. So this is how Guild Wars 2 is advancing their story through these small updates. Hopefully the following month we're going to get the fourth part, and they're finally going to have
a little bit bigger of a deal.
Yeah. And I guess it's later on this month, actually, is when the third one's going to come out, and we finally get the protagonists who will become, I guess, ultimate hero fighters.
Which is cool. You get two new characters and everything, and it sounds like maybe there'll be some more voiceover too, which hopefully will be voices we haven't heard before. But it's interesting because the story team's taking a lot of crap because
here we go. Got another flame portal up here
because people didn't really like they didn't really like what's the crappy guy's name?
I don't know, but here's a different type of portal, by the way.
Dude. See, if you don't even know, that means because you probably weren't paying attention.
It was
to the story,
a girl,
right?
actually. Oh no!
No. Yeah, you know who I'm. Treherne.
Yeah, the story for me, yeah.
I like the way
your
it's. I
story.
gotta say, I like the way the story's been done. I don't like. It didn't really enthrall me though. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and before people get on my case, I actually read The Ghost of Ascalon and the other Guild Wars book, so I've read the Guild Wars book. I actually like their lore and their canon. I just didn't necessarily like the way your personal story was presented
Yeah.
throughout this game.
But let's move on while we're fighting these guys, because it doesn't take a lot of intelligence. We'll talk about Eve, and hopefully people will pay attention to what we're saying while we're playing. For those of you who don't understand why we're playing this week, one, it's one of the few times I get to play, and two, I recently started using the OBS streaming software over Twitch, which, if you haven't noticed, provides us with 1080p plus and like no lag and no crashes and none of that crap that we were having before. So one of the downside is it's an open beta, and as an open beta product, it doesn't have the ability to import like video, like direct video. So I can't loop video the way I did before about the topic. So we found something more interesting to put on the screen. It was going to be SimCity, and just let my city sit there and people can watch what happens. But since nobody can play SimCity, we can't do that. Anyway, moving right along, our next topic is Eve, which this week announced that it has 500,000 subscribers, a brand new milestone. But what you need to know about that is that's 500,000 subscribers after 10 years. It's only been growing. It's not like it didn't go down to 500,000 or it didn't fall down and then rise back up to 500,000. After over 10 years' time, it's slowly built to 500,000 subscribers. It's a 10-year-old game that's continuing to grow.
If you hit her, you should be able to find a dirt pile.
I'm looking. So that's pretty incredible, and I think Rob and I agree quite a bit on this point. Why do you think, Rob, that after 10 years, Eve is still growing?
Well, one, it started off with a small,
No dirt pile.
a tight-knit group of players that were there for the systems, and it was a sandbox. And as the systems developed and the players developed, more people were attracted to it, and as the game became more robust, more people came into it. It's not a game that was dependent upon having the shiny graphics, even though if you go play Eve now and you look at some of the pictures of space, you would think that they're actual images that they just ripped out of like telescopes and managed to put them in the game. Some of the nebulas looking at them are just like, oh my god,
it didn't always look that good.
Amazing, yeah. And it's progressively gotten better. They've had a couple expansions. They've got Eve Fan Fest coming up here in April, which is in Iceland and is crazy amazing. But it goes back to one of the things we've been saying here for a long time, is that it's about getting systems and letting the players, their actions drive the game, and that's what happens in Eve. Player corporations and things of that nature are what really drives that game, and it keeps it engrossing. And I'd have to say that other than WoW, that's probably, or even more so than WoW, that game is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a lot of its
Absolutely.
players, and not just a hobby. It's like their vocation.
Yeah. I think the games lasted so long, like you said, because they essentially gave players a world and let them make something of it. They gave them systems to interact with that world. It wasn't just like maybe at the beginning it was kind of like, okay, well, what do we do with this? But over time and through player feedback and the CSM, which are the Council of Stellar Management, which is like a player-run part of the company. That's actually, they have their stakeholders in the company, not financially, but in terms of direction of like where Eve goes. These people, they all get together and they care so much about this game that they build it and they guide it and they direct it. And I think that comes with that, like, sort of, that draws people in over time. And the more people talk about it, it's sort of like a slow word of mouth spread. And now they've got, however you might feel about it, they've got Dust 514 on the PS3, which is an exclusive. Don't get me started on the fact that it's not on the PC. But there's a lot of shooter fans on consoles and even the PS3 who are suddenly now finding out about the Eve universe. And maybe they're going to start playing Eve, and maybe they already have. The only thing I'm curious about, and I would love to see the numbers, is how many dual boxers there are. Like how many 2, 3, 4 subscriptions there are in Eve, because a lot of people do that. Like how many of those players are singular players?
They do, Bill?
They do. But so that's, I mean, either way, that's a huge milestone. I did want to touch on one thing that they said in an interview with PC Gamer. By they, I mean, I think it was Hilmar that said it. April's Eve Fan Fest, which is the big sort of convention for all CCP games and mostly Eve that happens in Iceland every year. There's not a whole lot of details out yet. We will have a guy there. I think Blake Morse is actually attending for us, but David Reed, it was David Reed, not Hilmar. David Reed is I think the president of marketing or director of marketing, no, chief marketing officer. David Reed says, we haven't shown you our best work yet. The Eve Fan Fest will kick off with a bang. So we know that...
Having an orchestra this year. The night before, they're having the first time they're going to have an orchestra concert.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that it sounds a lot like we're going to see more about World of Darkness finally.
That's just going to say too. Is we're gonna get to know about World of Darkness, which has been
everybody is waiting for.
Their
that.
Atlanta studio is where they're working on that.
Yeah, and World of Darkness. I mean, it's like the best vampire role-playing game out there from White Wolf, which is actually CCP and White Wolf are one and the same now, but the World of Darkness, if you go back several years, you'll see some of the tech that they showed off just for like a lady, a very pretty lady walking in like a ball gown, and it was impressive back then. And now if you've seen some of the stuff they've done with the human avatars in Eve, you'll just can imagine what an MMO of that nature would look like. And if it's also a sandbox, a sort of dark, mature sandbox with vampires and all this other stuff from the Masquerade and everything, it's going to be
an Asmite.
Yeah.
Give me blood to kill the other vampires.
You're going to do that?
That's an actual race in the World of Darkness, dude.
What was Troika's game? What was not the original Vampire the Masquerade game that came out from like the late 90s, but what was Troika's game called? Was it the Masquerade or Bloodlines or something like that?
No, there was. Are you talking about the video game for the
video game? Yeah, the single player. No, not the Xbox one. Maybe it was on the Xbox. I played it on PC.
I think it was on the original Xbox. Oh, there was a RPG they had. It was a World of Darkness. It was a vampire RPG that was actually.
It was set in modern day.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was vampire set now, not
Bloodlines.
Dracula.
I think it's Bloodlines. Thank you, popular. Bloodlines was the more recent one. The Masquerade was the one that sort of spanned several centuries, I think, and it was the older of the two. In any case, Troika it was like a fantastic RPG, buggy as shit because that's all Troika ever did, but you could get past the bugs because it was very deep, and these are like former Black Isle guys, so they knew what they were doing. I can't wait to see what CCP does with all that, though. So I guess I'm rambling on. Let's talk about
5.2.
5.2 WoW's Thunder King patch, right?
Correct.
What the hell? What do we want to talk about it? I don't play WoW anymore. All I know is it's a massive, massive patch with brand new raid, open world bosses.
Largest raid they've had in the game, they're saying. So if you thought...
But it's not 40, man, so what's it matter? I'm kidding.
Get me started. Don't get me started on that.
But continue, Rob. You were on track.
Okay, anyways, size-wise, it's going to be the largest raid in the game. For those of you guys that did play back in the day of 40-man raids in Vanilla WoW, you probably remember the Zandalari detractors. Let's go on. What else?
There we go. We're back.
We're
back. Sorry, the stream actually went offline on its own. That was fun. Yeah, it's cool. It's back, though. Guys, restart.
So we're back.
Yeah, restart your stream.
Let's not. So let's stop badmouthing Blizzard before they stop sending us paychecks.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, it's.
They put open world. We said something bad about the trolls, and the stream died.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we got to stop talking
That's
about.
Literally what
gods.
happened. And it wasn't even a crash on that point. It was just the stream died.
I started saying, I don't know if you saw it. I actually was saying some bad things about Blizzard, and then the stream just went out. And
you
so
can
we're
continue.
not going to talk.
You can continue.
Just like anything bad about them.
I said bad things about Skyrim the last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and your computer almost blew up.
Well, try it again, really quickly. What were you saying about 5.2?
WoW is starting to show its age.
Yes.
The polygon count. You can only do so much with textures. If you come to me, by the way, I found another portal with the bad guys. So, and we got dinosaurs. And that's what actually I saw that was really showing their age. It was like, oh yeah, cool dinosaurs, and they make them big, and then it's like, ooh, that's not a lot of polygons. It's like, I remember where that was about. I saw that, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, and I'm still like, oh, that's kind of cool, and then I'm like, oh, that doesn't look so cool.
It doesn't look so good anymore.
Like, man, I do a lot of Way Back Wednesdays, and I see some old games, and I was like, this looks like a pretty good candidate for a Way Back Wednesday.
It is starting to get aged. I mean, and if
Speaking of which,
if you look at the older zones, it's even worse.
To tie back into Eve, they're going to be on Way Back Wednesday here by the end of the month, so just FYI.
Is Ned joining you, or is a developer joining you?
It's going to be Ned.
Ned's cool. Ned Coker is the PR guy for them, but he's one of the coolest dudes.
So anywho,
yeah,
back on track. They added back in a couple world bosses, which I've always really enjoyed, and they went so far as to make it open tagging for your faction.
For the world bosses only.
Yeah, for the world bosses. So anybody that shows up to participate in bringing these world bosses down has the possibility of getting loot, which, you know, we see that in Guild Wars 2. If you show up to kill a dragon and you're not in the group, and you can go loot the chest and you can get your yellows and have your possibility.
As long as you were in the fight.
So you contributed, and that's great. You know, that's not really something new. That's something that we're cycling back to. That's one of those things that WoW didn't do.
Yeah.
So then everybody else was like, oh, we're not going to do this.
But they still won't go farther.
Nobody was doing it. Now they're going back to it, and they're like, well, we'll edge back to it, but we'll see.
But they still, I wish they would more than edge, though. It's like, there's nothing worse than going back to a game from like one like this and suddenly realizing you can't help people out but whenever you see them. I mean, you can, of course you can, but it's a serious demotivator when you don't get credit for helping somebody out. It's way better when it's like this, when you can just, oh, there's somebody that needs help, I'll go help them. And I think all games in the future should continue to do that like they used to.
Yeah, but, you know, it became exploitive. There's always a way to cheat the system. And back then...
Fuck it.
Well, the thing, though, too, anymore, and here's something that people don't really think about. Anymore, it's not a big deal to power level a character because people don't give a shit, really, in a game what happens between level 1 and when you're at max level. Mm-hmm. Will you agree to that?
I agree to that, yeah.
Okay, so when
the
these
leveling
games
process.
first came out, the leveling process was a huge part of the game. So if you were power leveling through that, developers were like, you know, didn't like that because that was a huge part of the content that you were just skipping by, right?
For sure.
Well, it's not like that anymore. So who the fuck cares if you're max level the next day? Who cares if you cheated?
The developers shouldn't care. The players that want to experience it will experience it. The players that want to escape, they kind of get through it, will do so anyway. Even if you don't give them away, they'll find a way.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is with these guys is that you don't have to care. All these new games coming out, you don't have to care that you have like a level 10 guy with a level 2 guy and he's getting experience and flying up through the levels because the game's not about the leveling anymore anyways.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be that was a huge part of it and it's just not anymore.
Yeah.
So, for better or worse.
Moving right along. I mean, obviously I don't want to speak badly of WoW. It's a pretty big deal that they've got their brand new patch and it's a really nice patch that's putting the game in a good light.
We're also continuing along the legendary system too. I don't know how we're doing on time, but I mean personal people can complete their own legendaries for any class, and with looking for a raid tool, you know, anything that you have to do in a raid where in the past you may not be able to do because you're not in a guild and you're excluded from raiding, you don't have that problem. The items that you need will still drop for you. The chances of you getting them will be slimmer, even though, because they won't drop on every boss like they would if you were in a normal or heroic mode. They'll drop randomly sometimes and then you have to win it, so the chances you get it will be less, but it's still possible.
Yes, it's still possible, and the fact that it's like an easy mode done, but that's good, because if you think about it, back in vanilla WoW, if you were the kind of player that couldn't experience that content, or if you couldn't do Nax, you were never going to see it. Like, it was great if you could, and you get to see some of the best content Blizzard ever made for that game, but if you were like me, and at that point working full-time, 2 jobs and everything like that, I never got to see much of Nax. I never got to see a lot of stuff later on, after vanilla WoW, and I think the Raid Finder, despite the fact that a lot of hardcore raiders might not like the idea, I think it's great to at least give people the chance to see the storylines, and that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's Tryon did with the slivers.
With the slivers, yeah, and Chronicles too.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead.
Moving on, one last major topic is Richard Garriott. He is going to announce something tomorrow at 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Eastern, I think, something like that.
Dude freaks me out. he like put up a countdown to my mom's birthday at the beginning of the week, and I'm like calling him. I'm like, dude, quit stalking my mom. She's married.
Well, for those now, I highly doubt. I mean that any of you guys watching don't know who Garriott is, but for those of you who don't, he created Ultima. I mean, all of it. Ultima is Garriott's big claim to fame. The entire series.
Because he was a kid working at a store.
He packaged them
out
in
of fucking
plastic
Ziploc
bags. and
know?
now he has a mansion with secret doors and suits of armor.
He's gone bankrupt. He had to sell. He was going to be the first commercially flown person into space. Ended up having to sell his ticket.
Did he sell the ticket? I thought he made it, though. No, he only made it to the stratosphere.
Gone since then. Yeah. He's been like the 6th person. He did go to the International Space Station. Yeah. He was like number 6 that got to go into space. So he's made his fortunes back. A lot of that was by suing NCSoft and winning.
Yeah.
But NCSoft.
Doesn't his brother work for them? Or did he?
I know his brother was part of the industry. But anyways, he's made his fortunes back. He's very eccentric.
Yeah.
And he's had a little campaign across Facebook and Twitter where he's been putting out pieces of maps, and I love maps.
Yeah, he's throwing out a whole bunch of pieces of maps. Everybody knows that he's been working on something what he calls the ultimate RPG. If you go to the Portalarium website, which is his new company that's focused on smaller scale games at first, they put out like a couple of crappy Facebook games, no joke, very crappy. He said he wants to make like a successor to Ultima of his own. He has given the blessing to the Mythic guys and their Ultima. He says it's Ultima. He's actually endorsed it, but he wants to make his own new epic RPG with Lord British. So he's got something coming out, and we're going to find out all about it tomorrow. My guess is it will be some sort of like mobile or
we'll just open up on us down here
browser-based MMO RPG, but I guess we'll find out tomorrow. The map is totally old school. It reminds me exactly of Ultima. I mean, he drew those maps, and it looks like he drew this one too, But it'll be interesting to see what it is and how it really has, if it's something that players are going to really want, or if it's something that will just be like too little, too late, Richard. So I'm interested.
All the RPGs so far that I've gotten on my phone or tablet have been underwhelming.
Yeah.
But I guess that's problem is I think the technology really is there for them to do it well, but everybody tries to be hokey with it.
Casual, or just casual. Yeah. They're like, oh, well, you need to be able to play it for 5 minutes. What if I want to play it for 2 hours?
How powerful was my Nintendo? All 8-bit Nintendo. Yeah, Dragon Warrior, hello, Nintendo Power, me getting Dragon Warrior, that's what solidified RPGs for me, and then playing Final Fantasy, and I was like, and then Final Fantasy 2 on the Super Nintendo, which is really 4, don't correct me nerds, I know.
Final Fantasy 6, which is Final Fantasy 3, was the best.
Yes. I am a fan.
Do you remember the Mystic Quest? Do you remember the Mystic Quest
one? Yes, I played Mystic Quest, and that actually...
If you could beat it in like 3 hours.
Yeah, that did get turned back into a different Final Fantasy later on. It was like Final Fantasy Adventure 3, which wasn't really a Final Fantasy in Japan. It was only in the States. It was like that. Anyways, we digress. They could make a good RPG for the phone if they wanted to, or mobile device, I shouldn't say phone.
Speaking of Square Enix, we're getting totally off topic, but why have they only been content to make like ports of their classic games and then like shitty original content for mobiles? Why can't they make a really good mobile RPG?
Because they're clueless. They are so out of touch with the consumer market. They don't get me started.
Although apparently they'll still sell 1 million of their apps at like $5,000 per app.
And people will bitch about it.
What was that one that just came out that was like a whole basically you didn't even play anything, it just played itself?
The new one. It was you played as your favorite characters from the old Final Fantasies. I don't
know what I'm talking about, though. It was terrible. Don't buy it. Don't buy it.
Don't waste your money.
Don't waste your money. So, real quick to wrap up, because we are approaching the end, I thank you guys for watching. We're going to get to the beta keys. I want Rob to talk about something that's pretty special. I work at the Veterans Hospital here in Cleveland. Rob is a veteran. This is a cool deal. Let's talk about the Wounded Warrior Project and PlanetSide 2.
Okay, so it's more than just PlanetSide 2. There's a guild out there that is doing an event. It's for charity. It's for the Wounded Warrior program. It is going to be across multiple different MMOs. PlanetSide 2 is involved. There will be people on World of Warcraft. There'll be people on Rift. If you notice I'm not staring at the screen right now, it's because I'm going through our news items and I'm actually trying to find you a link to it to put it in chat. Anyways, it's basically kind of like a Child's Play deal, only instead of giving the money to Child's Play, they're going to give the money to the Wounded Warrior program,
which is an awesome deal.
Yeah, it's called Gamepocalypse. If you want more information about it, I'm getting ready to throw
the link will be right in chat. You can also go to
in
MMORPG.com. I think we've got the news story, or is that the link you're throwing there?
Yes, it does. And I will put the link on the YouTube video as well, so you'll be able to see the... If you're watching this after the fact, if you go down into the links underneath the YouTube video,
it'll be
link
there.
Will be there.
The show more.
For you to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, anyways, it's Bottom Line Guild. They're a guild comprised mostly of veterans. They're putting on a charity for guys to help them out. There's also a website out there. It used to be Rounds Down Range. Now it's I'm sorry. It is Rounds Down Range. It used to be Preview to Review. They're all a bunch of wounded combat Marines. So, yeah, these guys are people that they're all a bunch of gamers, just like us, but they were also in the military and they've got hurt doing what they felt they needed to do. So any help you could give them, they'd greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
If it's nothing more than just getting the word out there and saying, hey, this is going on. Let people know or participate.
Yeah. Tweet it.
So,
put it out there. Put it on Facebook.
Put it on your social media. Put it on your Facebook.
Yeah.
Put it on your Twitter, just to raise awareness.
Google Plus, all that crap. Do it.
Yeah.
They deserve it. And here comes some more wolves. All right, let's get to the fun part. Rob and I both have this app. I'm going to let him do it. I sent him the keys earlier. It's a giveaway app. You have to be following the channel. We'll give you a couple minutes to follow the channel. Make sure you're clicking the follow button.
So here's the deal. If you're on a Twitch page, sorry, I'm going to cut you off, but if you're on the Twitch page, look above our frames. There should be a button up there that says follow. If it's not there, you're probably already following us. If you're on the website...
If you're on MMORPG.com.
Correct. If you're on MMORPG.com/streams and you're watching us now, if you look underneath us, you will see that there are two buttons. There's one that'll say show chat, and there's one that'll in blue, and there's one that'll say Twitch page in gray. Click the one that says Twitch page. That'll take you to our Twitch page, and then
you can
above
follow
us, there should be something that says follow. So now that we've told you that, I'm going to give you a minute to do it, because it's not going to take you that long.
It really won't. And
then you'll
be entered into the drawing. Those of you who are watching, there's 160 people according to Twitch right now watching. You have, I can't do the math. You have a 6 out of 160 chance to win a beta key for this beta weekend event, which will also get you in the third beta weekend event. It's for both.
You know what? For all the people that have been following us for all this time, I'm going to give one away right now just to let those guys have first shots. And Old Man Albs, congratulations.
Look at that. He just talked in chat too.
Yeah, he did.
And he's putting on an elf shirt.
Yep. And I'll email these all to you through Twitch, so they'll come to your registered email account on Twitch after we're done here. So that was the first of 6, and I'll give you guys a minute to all catch up and give out another one.
Hang tight. Go ahead, guys. Everybody follow.
And Albs. That was just to give the early
people that have watched the
early
show.
Believers. Like, let's
There's
say
5
that
more.
Hey, let's pretend that we're Torment right now, and we just had a Kickstarter, and we raised $2 million fucking in 36 hours, or close enough to it. Give or take some taxes, 5% off the top for Kickstarter for them to run their website.
Don't forget that.
Anyway,
don't forget paying your CEO.
You paid $95. You got the physical collector's stuff. If you were a true believer and did it early, if you didn't, you pay $110 now for the exact same thing. People are like, "What's the difference?" One costs $95, one costs $110.
Yeah.
No, $15. Just like I was like the 16th.
I'm talking about the
person
$25 to $20 thing. That's what you and I were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, "What the hell is the difference?" You're like, "You get
there's
$5 off if you go early."
Yeah, the earlier you were, there you go. Okay, we're gonna refresh, get all the new followers, and we're gonna roll again.
Good luck, everybody.
And Playa AXYZ.
And you're sending the keys in their personal messages on Twitch?
Yes.
Yeah. So
PLAY.
your Twitch account's email will get these.
Yep.
It's funny. Even though we still had a couple of technical issues, 1, my microphone changing ports on me, and 2, the stream stopping, I still like OBS better, and I like playing games while we do the show. I think we're going to do it again next week.
Dines Angelo 123.
That's the weirdest name I've ever heard.
I don't care. They won.
I want Stinkbeard 1912 to win.
Just because I want to nerd off, and I almost did this during the show. All right. Gauntlgrim. That's the first book where they go there and find it's under Mount Hotnow, and it blows up. It has a primordial in it. Book 2, Neverwinter. Book 3, Karen's Claw. Book 4, Last Threshold. Once they get done with the Last Threshold, you are at the continuity that
These people are waiting,
takes
Rob.
place at.
They're like, why is he talking?
Sawthorn. Sawthorn.
Sawthorn. Good job, Nathaniel Sawthorn.
Alrighty.
How many we got left? 3?
We got 2 left.
2 left. We've given away 4?
Nick Dollaz. That's 5. Nick Dollahz.
And before you go,
One
I
more.
want you guys to know that even if you miss this beta weekend, and I know we had 2,000 keys on the website that were gone in like minutes, we are going to have like probably 10,000 or more for the last beta weekend because it's like the stress test time. You will get your chance to get in. I promise you. You don't have to buy anything before trying it. Like all of you guys will get in. We will make sure of it.
Hey,
So,
hey Bill.
good
what's
luck.
what's your Twitter account?
Twitter account is @TheBillMurphy,
At Graculin.
and you're
Hey,
at
and-
yeah.
And we got the last drumroll priest, last key.
Last key. Drum roll.
Where's my drum roll, Bill?
I don't have a drum roll. I'm killing wolves. Wait, here we go.
Doug 200463.
I was Doug. What? Doug again? Say it again.
Doug 200463.
There you go. That's the winner.
That's all 6, and I'd just like to say congratulations, because every time I rolled, I got somebody that was following the channel, and you'd be amazed how many times that hasn't happened in the past. So, awesome.
Good job, everybody. Good luck to those of you who are trying to get into SimCity right now while you're waiting and watching. Thank you for watching MMOFTW. Do not forget to follow MMORPG.com on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, of course, and even on Google Plus at just MMORPG. We have a community there as well. Don't forget to
Go
follow
to the website sometimes, too.
the website.
MMORPG.com, you know, no big deal.
Which you might know already, I hope. But MMORPG.com/streams.cfm is our dedicated stream page. It has our entire stream team. It's pretty much something going on at least for a few hours every day.
We will be streaming the hell out of Neverwinter all weekend long.
Yep, you can
so
play
don't
with
worry.
us. We're on, what's the server? Is it Dragon?
Dragon,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're on the Dragon server. If you want to play with us, the Dragon server will be there from Friday through Sunday, so hop on there. We'll be on. You can follow me, I think, at Bill Murphy MMORPG, actually, on Neverwinter. I'm not sure what
We never
Rob's-
charge for our content, by the way, guys. So those of you that are complaining about some people that you have to have subscriptions to their website to get the beta keys,
Yeah.
you're never going to find that here.
Nope.
So
Don't charge
always
for
pay
content.
attention. Yeah.
Although I will
follow
say...
our Twitter, follow the Facebook, because we put it out on the social media when we give those keys away. We gave away 2,000 keys in under an hour this morning. So
I will say, though we don't charge for content, please whitelist us if you have an ad blocker. The only way that I get to feed my wife and my soon-to-be newborn child is if you let us advertise to you. You don't have to click on them; just put them there. We get paid for having the ads there. Please whitelist us. It would help a lot. I do work 2 jobs, by the way. I'm not rich. Rob's rich though.
no, I'm not.
Yeah, he's super rich. I mean, look at all those books he has. Who can afford books anymore? Aren't they at like a premium without Kindles?
I think so.
Anyway, is there anything else they need to follow?
I think that's it. Just at
at
Graculin.
Graculin, yeah, at the Bill Murphy,
GRAKULEN.
at
And,
MMORPG.com.
You guys all go watch Archer. Oh, go watch The Americans if you're not watching that. It's a great show.
He loves the Americans.
Big Bang Theory came on tonight too, so it was all new. That's what I'm gonna go do now. See you, Bill.
Somebody says that you are rich because you have a Cobra shirt, and he's gone. Good with that wireless headset. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm stopping the stream now. This is rambling too much. The entire video of this, if you want to see the interview and you want to see the rest of us rambling on, will be up on YouTube by this weekend. I've got to compile all 3 segments of it and then put it on YouTube. So,
Today was my daughter's first birthday.
and happy birthday to Greg's first
Yep.
daughter. First daughter?
No, second daughter, third
Second
child.
daughter, third child. All right,
First
guys.
birthday.
First birthday. Numbers confuse me. Have a good one, guys. Have a great week.